thunder growled across the forest. Rain poured down in thick sheets, soaking everything below. Deep in the woods, a tiny white rabbit named Nibble was caught in the storm. He had been looking for berries when the sky suddenly turned angry. Cold, wet, and scared, Nibble huddled under a large leaf. But then, a strong gust of wind blew a big umbrella-shaped leaf from a tree and landed right next to him. Nibble climbed on. To his surprise, the wind lifted the leaf like a boat in the air. Up he floated, drifting softly through the storm. Lightning flashed, and raindrops danced around him, but the leaf kept him safe. He floated over trees, rivers, and sleeping owls hiding in their nests. Through the stormy night, Nibble whispered, "I'm brave. I can do this." Finally, the wind calmed, and the leaf gently brought him down near his cozy burrow. His family rushed out and hugged him tight. From that day on, Nibble was known not just as a little rabbit, but as the bravest one in the whole forest. Loved Nibble's magical journey? We bring you daily animated tales full of wonder, adventure, and big life lessons, all through the eyes of lovable characters. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to PippoUnfiltered for your daily dose of magic. Ready for magic? Subscribe now. In the heart of the vast, mysterious forest, Leo, the curious fox, heard whispers carried by the wind. Drawn by a glowing light between ancient trees, he ventured deeper than ever before. Suddenly, his sharp eyes caught an old, giant tree with strange symbols carved on its bark. The air around it shimmered with magic, and Leo felt a thrill. This was no ordinary forest. What secrets awaited him beyond? Cliffhanger. The adventure continues. Stay tuned. Magic is here. Subscribe now. Inside the Leo's eyes fixed on a shimmering floating in midair. The key pulsed with energy, promising hidden powers within the forest. But suddenly, the shadow revealed itself, a mischievous sprite trying to steal the key. Leo had to think fast and act brave to protect the magic that could change everything. Would he succeed? Cliffhanger. The journey's not over. Ever felt like a wall could hear your pain? Liam stumbled upon an ancient stone wall deep in the forest. Out of frustration, he whispered, "I just want someone to understand me." To his shock, the wall replied, "I hear you." "Every day," Liam returned, sharing his deepest fears. The wall listened, never judging. But one day, the wall said, "You're ready now. Go be someone else's wall." Liam walked away, tears in his eyes but stronger. Some walls don't block, they heal. If you believe words hold magic, like this video and subscribe for more untold stories. A bench waited 20 years for one promise to be kept. Every afternoon, Ava sat on the park bench where her dad used to meet her. Before he went missing in a storm, he said, "Wait here. I'll find you again." Years passed. No sign. People laughed at her hope. One rainy day, an old man in a soldier's coat appeared. He whispered, "Sorry I'm late." The bench had waited, and so had Ava. Some promises travel through time. Still believe in promises? Tap subscribe. There's more magic to come. What if a book cried every time someone forgot its story? Mia found an old dusty book in the attic. As she opened it, a tear rolled from its pages. Startled, she flipped through each forgotten memory, made the book weep. She read every word aloud, and the crying stopped. The book whispered, "Thank you for remembering me." Not all tears are sad. Some are grateful. If this touched your heart, follow our channel. These stories need someone like you. He thought no one saw his kindness, but someone did, and it changed everything. Jake, a janitor at a high school, brought 2 sandwiches every day. One for himself. One he quietly left on locker 214. No name, no note. Nobody noticed. Nobody asked. Until one day, a letter appeared in place of the sandwich. "To the person who's been feeding me while I sleep in the library. Thank you. I'm not invisible to you." Turns out, a student had been homeless for months, hiding her pain behind top grades and fake smiles. Jake never said a word, just left a sandwich the next day, and a sticky note. "You matter. Every day. Don't forget it." She graduated, got a scholarship. Years later, she returned as a teacher, and on her first day, there was a sandwich on her desk, and a note, "Welcome home. Subscribe to PippoTunes Official, where every little kindness has a story worth telling. She waited, but he never came back. She waited for him every day, but he was already gone. Full story. Around 180 words, perfect for 1 min short. Every evening, Grandma Noor sat by the window. 2 cups of tea. One for her. One for her son who went missing in war 18 years ago. People said, "He's not coming back. Move on." But she smiled. A mother never stops waiting. One rainy evening, a letter arrived. Old, torn, faded, from the army. Her hands trembled as she read. He died a hero, but his last words were, "Tell my mom I'm on my way home." That night she didn't make 2 cups of tea. She made just one and placed it beside his photo. Then she sat by the window and whispered, "Now I know why you never came back." Moral: some waits end with truth. Some hearts break in silence. For more real, emotional shorts, follow PippoTunes Official, where stories speak louder than words. They thought she was just a maid, until they read what she wrote. Asha worked silently in a big house. She cooked, cleaned, smiled, and no one ever asked, "Are you okay?" One day, the little girl of the house found a notebook under Asha's pillow. She thought it was a cookbook, but it wasn't. It was a diary, filled with poetry. Lines like, "I clean their plates, but no one sees the hunger in my heart. I fold their clothes, but carry the weight of my own dreams." The mother read it, stunned. This maid was a writer, a soul screaming in silence. Next week, Aisha disappeared, and a few months later, her poetry was published, with a dedication: "To all those who serve silently and dream loudly." Never underestimate the people you ignore. Want more heart-touching stories? Follow PippoTunes Official, where every soul has a voice. Sometimes, the smallest act of kindness can make the biggest storm feel warm. Rain poured like the sky was crying. People rushed for shelter umbrellas, popped open, taxis filled fast. But one little boy stood alone, under a broken awning, holding an old, torn umbrella that barely covered him. A few steps away, an old man sat on a bench, soaked to the bone, coughing. People passed him like he didn't exist. The boy looked at his tiny umbrella, then at the old man, and quietly walked over. Without saying a word, he held the umbrella above both their heads. It didn't cover much, but it was enough. The old man turned to him, surprised, and whispered, "This is the first time someone cared in years." Across the street, a cafe owner saw it all. He stepped out, brought them hot tea and snacks. One small kindness, and the world got a little warmer. If this moved your heart, pass it forward. Subscribe to PippoTunes Official for more real, human stories. She had nothing extra, but she gave from the heart. At lunchtime, Mia eagerly opened her lunchbox. Her favorite sandwich, a cookie, and some juice. Across the table sat Layla, the new girl, quiet, distant, eyes focused on nothing. Her bag was empty. Mia noticed. She remembered what her mom always said: kindness doesn't need permission. She slid half her sandwich across the table and smiled. "Want to share?" Layla hesitated, then took it slowly, gratefully. "Thank you," she whispered. "My mom lost her job. We haven't had much lately." Mia nodded, not saying much more. From that moment on, they shared lunch every day. And slowly, Layla started smiling again. Sometimes, friendship begins with just one kind bite. It's not what you give, it's how you give it. For more powerful shorts, follow PippoTunes Official. Not every coin matters, but every kind word does. He played his violin on the street corner every evening, notes echoing off cold concrete walls. People walked by, faces down, busy lives, busy minds. No one stopped. His hands were freezing, his heart heavier than his instrument. Maybe this is useless, he thought. He was about to pack up when a little girl came close. She listened quietly, eyes wide, soul still. She dropped a single dollar into his case then, placed a folded note beside it. He opened it slowly. It read, "Your music made my sad day better. Thank you." He sat frozen for a moment, then smiled, tears welling up. "One note," he whispered, "and I found my reason again. Sometimes, kindness doesn't come in applause. It comes in silence, in words, in moments." Share this story if it touched you. Subscribe to PippoTunes Official for real stories that stay with you. What if you saw your own death before it happened? Jason, a lonely man, lived a quiet life. One night, while scrolling through an old forum, he found a live stream titled, "Jason Miller's Death, 11:47 p.m. Out of curiosity, he clicked. It was a dark street. Then he saw himself walking. Same clothes, same bag, same limp in his left foot. He froze. It was the alley he passed every night after work. Heart racing, he looked at the time. 11:42 p.m. Just 5 minutes. Jason ran, took a longer route home, locked every door. Sat shaking on his bed. 11:47 p.m. came and passed. Relieved, he smiled. I beat fate. Then his phone buzzed. Stream ended. Jason Miller. Time of death, 11:49 p.m. He turned. His window was open. Want more mind-bending stories? Subscribe now to PippoTunes Official, where reality plays games. He was starving, but returned the wallet untouched. On a freezing night, James, a homeless man, found a wallet outside a diner. It had 500 inside, enough to eat for weeks, but instead of keeping it, he waited outside in the cold. Hours passed, until a woman came rushing, searching for her lost wallet. James smiled and handed it back. "No money's worth more than peace of mind," he said. Tears welled in her eyes. She offered him cash, food, anything, but he refused. "Just remember me when you see someone else in need." She didn't forget. The next day, she shared his story online. Donations poured in. James got shelter, food, and job offers. Kindness had come full circle because he chose honesty when no one was watching. For stories that restore your faith in humanity, subscribe to PippoTunes Official. She bought him coffee. He changed her world. Lisa saw him every day sitting on the same bench, whispering to himself. He was dirty, alone, and invisible to the world. One morning, she bought him coffee. He looked up in shock. "For me?" She nodded. They sat in silence. Days turned into conversations. His name was Peter, a war veteran, a poet, a man the world had forgotten. But Lisa didn't forget. She helped him get cleaned up, got his poems published online. A year later, she stood in a bookstore. Peter's book was on the shelf. Words from the bench. The dedication read, "For the woman who saw me when I couldn't see myself." Small kindness, big change. Subscribe to PippoTunes Official for more true-hearted stories. Sometimes, a human saves a life, and sometimes, a wolf saves a soul. In the freezing silence of Alaska, David, a retired soldier, lived alone in a wooden cabin haunted by war, guilt, and memories that wouldn't die. One night, a dying wolf collapsed outside his door, wounded and shivering. Most would have shot it, but David dragged it in, stitched its leg, and shared his only food. Over weeks, the wild creature healed. They never spoke yet something unspoken grew between them. For the first time in years, David laughed. He even dreamed again. But then came the hunters, claiming there was a bounty on that wolf's head. David stood in front of them, shotgun lowered. "He saved me," David whispered, voice cracking. "Now go." The hunters left. That night, the wolf howled once, then disappeared into the woods. David never saw him again, but his nightmares ended. Subscribe to PippoTunes Official for more emotional stories that stay with your heart. He gave his last coin for a dog, and the dog gave him back his life. Mike was homeless, jobless, and broken. He slept under a bridge with nothing but a torn jacket. One rainy night, he saw a stray dog curled up, shaking violently. Without thinking, Mike took off his only blanket and wrapped it around the animal. For hours, they shivered together, two souls the world forgot. Next morning, a woman jogging by stopped. "You gave your only warmth to a dog?" she asked, tearfully. That woman turned out to be the director of a local shelter. She gave Mike a job, a place to stay, and eventually helped him rebuild his life. As for the dog, he never left Mike's side again. For stories that make you feel deeply, subscribe to PippoUnfiltered. She answered a call from a dead number. She answered a call from a number that had been dead for 5 years. It was her dad's number. He passed away in 2018. But that night, it rang. Her hands froze. Her heart nearly stopped. She picked it up. Silence. And then, a voicemail started playing. It wasn't recent. It was old. A message she had saved but forgotten. "Hey, sweetheart. I'm proud of you. I always will be." She broke down. She had been thinking about giving up. She felt like no one cared. But somehow, that old message came through exactly when she needed it. No ghosts. No magic. Just timing. Perfect. Painful. Beautiful timing. Sometimes, the universe doesn't speak loudly. It whispers, with memories. For more stories that hit the heart, follow PippoUnfiltered. Real emotions, one story at a time. He waited every single day, but she never came back. Every evening, Pippo saw a scruffy dog sitting near the train station entrance. Rain or shine, the dog never moved. Zani, the clever cat, whispered, "Something's wrong with his eyes. He's looking beyond time." Pippo asked a local tea vendor. That dog. He belonged to a young girl. The train one day and never returned. That was 2 years ago. Something in Pippo cracked. He began visiting daily, offering food. The dog never responded, just stared at the tracks. One rainy evening, the dog didn't bark or resist the leaned on Pippo's leg. Zani said softly, "He chose you." That night, Pippo brought a warm blanket. The next morning, the dog was gone. A note lay on the bench. "Thank you for seeing me." Real emotions, real stories. Subscribe to PippoUnfiltered for more heart-touching moments. She laughed all day and cried herself to sleep. At the cafe, a cheerful girl named Mia served customers with endless smiles. Pippo and Zani became regulars, drawn to her warmth. But Zani, with her quiet instincts, noticed Mia's eyes. She's hiding something. One night, Pippo forgot his bag and returned. He saw Mia sitting alone, sobbing over a letter. He didn't interrupt. The next morning, Pippo left her a drawing. A girl standing tall in the rain, surrounded by tiny suns. She smiled when she saw it. Over weeks, Pippo and Zani left more notes, little jokes, warm messages. Mia's smile began to glow from her soul, not just her face. One day, she whispered to Pippo, "I was about to give up, but you made me feel seen." Zani purred. That's the real magic. See the unseen emotions in everyday lives. Subscribe to PippoUnfiltered for stories that matter. He told everyone he didn't believe in love, until she left. Pippo's friend Jay always mocked romance. "Love is for fools," he'd say with a laugh. Zani never liked him much. "He's protecting something," she'd whisper. But one day, Jay didn't show up. Then the next. Finally, Pippo found him by the lake, staring at the water in silence. "I told her to go," Jay said. "I thought I didn't need anyone. Turns out, I was just scared." Zani sat quietly, her tail brushing his arm. "People leave," Jay added, "but the regret stays." Pippo didn't offer advice. He just handed Jay a small note. "Love is not weakness. Fear is." Jay nodded. Weeks passed. One day, Jay came with a flower in hand. "I'm going to say sorry," Zani smirked. "About time, even the strongest fall." Watch more real stories on PippoUnfiltered. Subscribe now.
She danced in the mirror, but never on stage. Pippo noticed the new neighbor girl dancing in her living room. Every evening, same time, same rhythm. Zani sat by the window watching with Pippo. "She's good," she said. One day, Pippo knocked on her door. "Why don't you perform? You're amazing." She looked down. "I used to, but someone once laughed at me. I never danced again, except here." The next evening, Pippo set up a small speaker outside her window. He and Zani clapped, smiled, and cheered. She blushed but kept dancing. Soon, more neighbors joined in, clapping. 1 month later, she was on a real stage again, nervous but glowing. As the curtains rose, she looked at Pippo in the crowd. He gave a thumbs up. She twirled and the world faded. Dreams don't die, they just wait. Watch more soul-stirring stories on PippoTunes Official. Subscribe now.
He gave everything to his family, but no one noticed. Uncle Ram lived quietly in the old apartment. Every morning, he cleaned the hallway. Every night, he fixed broken lights. "Doesn't anyone say thank you?" Pippo asked. Zani answered, "He doesn't do it for that." One day, Ram slipped while changing a bulb. No one came, except Pippo and Zani. They brought food, a blanket, and just sat beside him. Ram smiled. "I'm not sad. I just thought maybe someone would notice one day." Pippo printed flyers. "Thank you, Ram, our silent hero." Soon, neighbors dropped gifts at Ram's door. One even fixed the hallway lights before Ram could. Ram cried, "I didn't need gifts, just to know it mattered." Not all heroes wear capes. Subscribe to PippoTunes Official for stories that finally see them. He never spoke a single word, yet his silence moved the whole town. In a quiet town lived a young boy named Liam who had never spoken a word in his life. He was deaf since birth, and most people ignored him thinking he had nothing to say. But Liam noticed everything. He watched the old man who sat alone on the bench. He saw the shopkeeper who always looked sad. He felt the loneliness in people's eyes. One day, Liam began carving small wooden hearts and leaving them silently on doorsteps each, one painted with a unique symbol: a smile, a sun, a helping hand. People began to notice. The grumpy old man smiled. The shopkeeper greeted customers with warmth. The whole town slowly transformed because of silent gifts from a boy who never uttered a sound. When asked why he did it, Liam wrote just one sentence on a piece of paper: "You don't need a voice to touch a heart." Follow PippoTunes Official for more stories that touch your heart. He didn't eat just to see his best friend smile. In a small town, two best friends, Aiden and Luca, lived a simple life. They went to school together, shared everything, and even dreamed together. One day, Aiden noticed that Luca looked weak. He had stopped bringing lunch to school. When asked, Luca just smiled and said, "Not hungry." That night, Aiden came home and found only one sandwich on the table. His mom said it was all they had left. Without a second thought, Aiden wrapped the sandwich and slipped out. The next morning, Luca opened his bag and found the sandwich with the note. "You can't smile on an empty stomach, Aiden." Aiden didn't show up at school. He had stayed home hungry again. This story isn't about food. It's about love, sacrifice, and the quiet strength of true friendship. If this story touched your heart, follow PippoTunes Official for more emotional animations every day.
What if feeding a hungry man was the last test of your life? On a cold night, Ethan walked out of a small food stall in the city. He hadn't eaten for 2 days himself, but carried leftover food in a small bag. He was searching for someone who needed it more. At the corner of a dark alley, he saw an old man sitting on the ground. Torn clothes, shivering hands, eyes full of pain. Without hesitation, Ethan offered him the food. The old man looked at him deeply and whispered, "Son, you passed the test." Confused, Ethan asked, "What test?" The man smiled softly and vanished into the darkness. The next morning, Ethan's life changed. A stranger had recorded his act of kindness and posted it online. The video went viral. A major charity organization reached out and offered him a position as their global ambassador. From invisible to impactful, Ethan realized that one small act of kindness had rewritten his destiny. Like what you watched? So follow PippoTunes for more emotional, meaningful short stories every day. Don't scroll past kindness. Soaks. She stood on the bridge to jump, but a stranger's voice stopped. Her rain poured as Mia stood on the edge of an old bridge. Her hands trembled. The weight of loneliness had finally crushed her. Behind her, a quiet voice said, "I don't know what you're going through, but if you leave, someone like me will never get to meet someone like you." She turned, shocked. A stranger soaked in rain just stood there, offering no advice, no pity, just presence. They sat together for hours, saying nothing more. Years later, Mia is now a therapist. She helps people battling the darkness she once knew, and every month, she visits that same bridge not to jump, but to leave a small sign that reads, "Stay, even strangers care." Follow PippoUnfiltered Official for more emotional stories that touch the heart. Share, like, comment, share, follow. She fed a stray dog every day, until one day that dog saved her life. Emma was just a regular woman living alone in a quiet neighborhood. Every morning, she'd leave a sandwich near her porch for a stray dog who waited silently and wagged its tail with gratitude. She never petted him, never got too close. But the routine went on for months, rain or shine. Food was always there. One night, as she walked home, a man started following her. Her heart raced. She quickened her pace, but he kept coming closer. Suddenly, out of the shadows, the same stray dog growled and jumped between her and the man. Teeth bared, fearless. The man ran off without looking back. Emma fell to her knees, hugging the dog for the first time ever. She realized kindness always finds its way back. For more powerful animated stories that touch your heart, follow PippoUnfiltered Official on all platforms. Don't forget to like, share, and spread the kindness.
He left his own wedding to save a stranger's life. In a small town, James stood at the altar, moments away from saying, "I do." The church was filled with flowers, music, and his bride's radiant smile. Suddenly, a phone rang in his pocket, unusual for a man about to get married. He checked it. Unknown number, but something told him to answer. A panicked voice cried, "Help! I dialed randomly. I think I'm dying." Everyone stared as James turned pale. He whispered something to his bride, dropped his vows, and ran out the door. No explanation, no second thoughts. An hour later, he kicked open the door to a motel room and found a young man unconscious, barely breathing. He called 911, stayed with him. That man survived. His only family? A voicemail from James, the bride? She never married him. But James didn't regret a thing, because sometimes your purpose finds you at the altar of sacrifice. Follow PippoUnfiltered Official for more real stories that touch the heart. Quiet people often hide the loudest stories inside them. Every day the same tea cart, same railway station, same silence. An old man walked quietly from platform to platform, selling tea. He never smiled, never called out, just served. People mocked him. "Hey, old man, why don't you speak?" But he only lowered his eyes and walked away. One day, a young boy finally asked, "Uncle, why are you always so silent?" The old man paused, then softly said, "When my daughter was dying, I knocked on every door, begged everyone for help, but no one listened. Since then, silence has become my only friend." The boy stood speechless. From that day on, he greeted the man with a smile and said, "Good morning, uncle." And one day, for the first time, the old man replied, "Good morning, son," because sometimes a little kindness breaks the deepest silence. Follow at PippoUnfiltered Official for more stories that touch your heart each day.
Some apologies come too late to matter. Ion sat alone in his mother's room, the air heavy with memories. She was gone. Cancer took her too soon. On the table lay a letter addressed to him. "My son, I know you were angry. I know I failed. But every night, I prayed for your return." Tears fell silently as Ion read. He hadn't spoken to her in 5 years. Their last words were shouted, not shared. He thought there'd be time. He was wrong. He looked around the half-knitted sweater she never finished, his childhood photos on the wall. He whispered, "I'm sorry, Ami. I was just too proud." He clutched the letter close to his chest as if trying to hold her one last time. Too late to say sorry. Too late to hear, "I forgive you." For more emotional short stories, follow PippoTunes Official on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. ETODE.
He gave everything, but she only remembered what he couldn't give. Ali worked double shifts to buy his wife a gold necklace she always dreamed of. She never asked, but he heard her eyes when she looked at the jewelry shop window. He skipped meals, took extra hours, sold his bike. Finally, on her birthday, he handed her a small box with trembling hands. She opened it, paused, and said, "It's not the one I liked." Ali smiled weakly. "It's the one I could afford." She turned away without a word. That night, he sat alone on the rooftop, holding the receipt. He never returned the necklace. He just kept it beside her wedding photo, a quiet reminder. Sometimes, love speaks through sacrifices, not sparkle. Watch more real, emotional short stories on PippoTunes Official. Follow now on YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. Like, share, subscribe. He gave her everything, except his time. She waited at the dinner table, again. Every evening, the candles melted slowly while the food went cold, but he never came on time. Work, meetings. "Just 5 more minutes," he'd text. She smiled through it all. She believed love was patience. Until one day, she was gone. No note, no fight, just silence. He searched, called, waited. And then he found her old journal. It read, "I only ever wanted to be his peace, but I became his background noise. So today, I chose myself." Now the table's still set. The candles still melt. But the seat across from him will always stay empty. Because when love is ignored long enough, it learns how to walk away. Follow at PippoTunes Official for more stories that make you feel something. She ignored the homeless man every day, until one day, he disappeared. Every morning, Maya rushed past a homeless man sitting quietly outside her office building. He never begged. He just smiled and said, "Good morning." She never responded. One rainy day, she forgot her umbrella. The man, soaked but still smiling, held out a plastic sheet to cover her. She paused, nodded, but said nothing. The next day, he wasn't there. Nor the next. Or the next. Curiosity turned into guilt. She asked the security guard about him. He passed away 2 nights ago, gave his blanket to a shivering kid before collapsing. Maya was stunned. That smile, that kindness, from someone who had nothing. A week later, she started a small food stand, the Smile Spot, where she gave free meals to anyone in need. And every morning, she greeted everyone with a smile in memory of the man she never thanked. For more real and heart-touching stories, follow PippoTunes Official. Like, share, and subscribe now. His mother called him 12 times. He never answered. And now, he calls her where no one picks up. Eric was building his dream life startup meetings, late night coding, and always, "I'll call you later, Mom." She used to call daily. He'd press ignore. She'll understand, he thought. One night, 12 missed calls. He finally texted, "Busy. I'll call you tomorrow." Tomorrow never came. The next morning, Eric's sister called. "Eric, Mom had a stroke. She's gone." Silence. Time froze. His phone still showing 12 missed calls. He sat there, staring at it for hours, wishing just one of those calls had been answered. Now, he calls her every night. No one picks up. Just a cold voicemail. This number is no longer in service. For raw truths and real emotions, this is Pippo Unfiltered. Hit subscribe before another call goes unanswered. People forget dates, but you never forget how that silence felt. Ethan waited all day. It was his birthday. No calls, no messages, just a few happy birthday comments on Facebook from people he barely knew. He didn't expect a big party, just a call from his brother. Maybe a text from his best friend. But nothing came. He sat on the couch, staring at the cake he bought for himself. Lit a candle, made a wish. I just don't want to feel invisible anymore. Sometimes it's not about gifts or celebrations. It's about knowing you matter to someone. That day, Ethan didn't feel forgotten. He felt erased. If this story hit close to home, you're not alone. At Pippo Unfiltered, we bring you real stories about people, emotions, and moments we often hide. Like, comment, and subscribe for more unfiltered truths, because feelings deserve to be heard.
He read her last message 73 times, but never replied. Ryan and Emily broke up 3 months ago. No fights, no drama, just distance. One night, Emily texted, "I know I messed up, but if you still care, just say something." He saw it, typed, deleted, typed again, then put the phone down. He never replied. Last week, he heard she moved away. New city, new number, gone. Now, every night, he opens that text, reads it, hates himself a little more. Not because she left, but because he stayed silent. Channel promo. We don't fake emotions here. At Pippo Unfiltered, we tell stories that remind you of what was, what is, and what could have been. Like, comment, and subscribe if you've ever felt something and didn't know how to say it.
You don't realize the weight of sacrifice until you wear someone else's shoes. Jason was packing up his dad's old garage after the funeral. Dust, tools, silence. Then he found them those worn-out work boots his dad wore every day for 30 years. Cracked leather, torn soles, covered in grease and memories. Jason just stared. He remembered being a kid, complaining about not getting new sneakers, while his dad wore these same boots to 2 jobs every day, without a word. Jason sat on the cold floor, boots in hand, heart heavy. "Why didn't I ever say thank you?" he whispered. Sometimes, love doesn't come wrapped in hugs. Sometimes it's in boots that never stop walking just so you don't have to. If this hit you deep, subscribe to Pippo Unfiltered Real Stories. Raw emotions, no sugarcoating. Hit that like, drop a comment, and share with someone who needs to feel something real today. Because here, we don't filter the truth.
The search for happiness. Once upon a time, a young prince felt empty, even though he had everything. Palaces, gold, fame. He asked his wise minister, "Why do I still feel unhappy?" The minister smiled and said, "Because you're searching for happiness in the wrong places." The prince didn't believe him, so he left his kingdom in search of true happiness. He traveled across mountains, deserts, cities, and seas. He sat in fancy restaurants, rode luxurious cars, laughed in big crowds. But every night, he felt something missing. One day, tired and hopeless, he reached a small village. There, he met an old man with a wrinkled face, dusty clothes, and the biggest smile he had ever seen. Surprised, the prince asked, "You have no riches, no fame, no palace. Why are you so happy?" "Because I'm grateful for every breath, for the sun, for the people I love. I don't chase happiness, I live it." At that moment, the prince understood. Happiness was never in places, people, or things. It was in how you see life, in being present, in small moments. Video ending idea. Share. Stop searching outside. Maybe happiness is already sitting next to you. Like, share, and follow for more stories that touch the soul. Pippo Unfiltered.
Why, son, I just need to tell you a few things. Watch this heartbreaking message to his dying. So, why, son? I just need to tell you a few things. Listen to your mom, always. She's your best friend even when you're too angry to see it. She stayed strong for both of us, and she'll need you now. And girls, you're too young for them now. Gentle pause, small smile and voice. But when the time comes, treat them like princesses. Never with pride for you, right here. He taps his chest. In every beat of your heart, I'll live on. If this message made you heavy, follow Pippo Unfiltered for for more emotional truths that stay with you. They said it was impossible, but he said no. One of the rescuers said the entrances are all blocked. We can't get through. The paths are too narrow. He looked at the man and said, "We need someone like you." In the background, the men from the pub were screaming for help. Without much thought, he said, "Give me the oxygen tanks, I'll go in." He crawled through the narrow passages and brought oxygen tanks to the trapped people. Others gathered around the pub and watched as the man carried tank after tank into the building. And amazed by him. When he finished, his wife came up to him and said, "I'm so proud that you are you, and not like everyone else. You see, God has a purpose for each." Subscribe to Pippo Unfiltered for real hero stories like this. In a dormitory with 100 students, breakfast was the butter. Day after day, 80 students grew frustrated. They whispered their annoyance, wishing for something new, something different. But 20 students were content. They had no complaints. Bread and butter worked just fine for them. Tired of the grumbling, the warden finally said, "Let's vote. Whatever meal gets the most votes, we'll serve it from tomorrow." Everyone cast their vote. Here's how it turned out. 20 voted for bread. Butter, 18 wanted noodles, 16 picked egg toast. Others were split among pancakes, cereal, and fruit. Those 20 students who liked it stood united. The other 80 were divided among different preferences. Their voices canceled each other out. And so, once again, everyone was served bread and butter. Moral: when people with power stay united, and the majority stays divided, the few will always decide for the many.
He was 6 when he first asked, "Mom, why don't we have a dad like other kids?" She paused. Not because she didn't have the answer, but because she had too many. She wiped her hands on her apron, sat down beside him, and said softly, "Because you only needed one strong parent." That was the beginning of many hard conversations. She worked 2 jobs, packed his lunch with sticky notes that said, "You're doing great." She never bought herself new clothes, but made sure his shoes were always brand new. On rainy days, just so he could carry the only umbrella. He grew up fast. He didn't have the latest phone or a car at 16, but he had something his friends didn't. A mother who never missed a single school play, football game, or broken heart night. At 22, when he walked across the college graduation stage, she sat in the back quiet, holding back tears. He looked right at her and mouthed, "We did it." Later that night, he handed her an envelope. Inside was the first salary check he'd earned. Her head. "You don't owe me anything," but he said, "I know I don't. That's why I want to give you everything." She didn't cry in front of him, but alone, in the kitchen, she held that check like it was gold. Not for the money, for what it meant. If this story reminded you of your mother, stop scrolling tamed. This is PippoUnfiltered, where we tell the stories no one else does. And today like, comment, and share if this hit a nerve. And subscribe to feel something real, because not everything has to be loud to be powerful. In a college full of laughter and voices, one boy walked quietly, unnoticed. Armin wasn't like the others. No flashy clothes, no lunchbox, just silence. While others enjoyed their meals, he stood fascinados. Classroom corridor. Armin walks slowly, hands in pockets. Others pass by him, joking around and energetic. A banner on the wall says, "Annual exams next week. Scene 3. Classroom interior. Teacher writing on the board. Armin sits alone at the back. His desk is half empty. A student near him turns and whispers with a smirk. Scene 4. College canteen. Break time. Crowd of students grabbing snacks. The cook shouts over the noise. Armin watches from a distance. A boy throws him half a bun while others laugh. Scene 5. Bench under a tree. Afternoon. Armin sits alone, holding the bun. Light breeze. Flashback blur starts showing his mother weak in bed, holding his hand. Scene 6. Classroom. Next day announcement. Teacher smiles and says something to class. Students react cheerfully. Armand looks worried. Scene 7. Shared lunch. Courtyard turns into picnic. Tables full of food. Students are exchanging dishes. Armand opens his tiffin, secretly dry bread only. Scene 8. Friend joins. A classmate sits beside him, smiling, asking to share the bread. Others gradually gather. Scene becomes warm and inclusive. Scene 9. Closing shot. Wide aerial shot pulling back. Armin finally smiling with the group. Laughter echoes. Fade out.
Anna used to smile a lot. To strangers, to co-workers, even to her mirror. But inside, she was breaking. One night, while the city slept, a soft room, a woman, no taller than a candle. A faint mystical glow appears midair. A small fairy, glowing like moonlight, hovers above Anna, with silver wings and a soft magical aura. Close-up of the fairy speaking seriously, offering a magical bargain. Anna looks curious yet afraid. Daylight seen Anna at work, smiling, people around her clapping, laughing, praising her. It feels warm but superficial. Nighttime again. Anna lies in bed, wide awake. Her eyes are teary, shadows crawl on the wall, representing inner voices. The fairy returns, older, glowing golden this time. She talks gently but powerfully. Anna listens in silence. Anna sits by a window, thinking. The room is calm but empty. A soft breeze moves her hair slightly as she reflects.
Once in a land of golden towers and marble streets, there lived a girl named Mira. She wasn't born into royalty, but every day, she walked to the palace gate with a dream in her heart. As she grew, behind her, market vendors are opening stalls. A boy chases a chicken. A woman carries a basket of apples on her head. The palace guards stand tall nearby, ignoring her. Mira as a teenager, 15, 16, now carrying water pots, walking beside the palace servant path. In the background, elegant ladies pass by in royal clothes, talking and laughing. A servant drops some scrolls near her, and Mira helps pick them up. No one says thank you. She looks up toward the palace balcony with quiet longing. People pass by without noticing. Mira, now in her 20s, stands near the gate once again. Her clothes are older, her face more mature. She watches a royal wedding carriage arrive. Background shows dancers practicing, villagers gathering with curiosity, palace musicians setting up near the entrance. A little boy walks by and bumps into her, but she gently helps him up, smiling faintly. As the bride waves from the carriage, Mira stands still. The wave is directed at someone behind her. She slightly turns, realizes it's not for her. She looks back at the gate one last time. Behind her, a couple laughs. A hawker calls out his fruit prices, and a bird flies past in slow motion. Mira smiles quietly, full of understanding. In marble streets, there lived a girl named Mira. She wasn't born into royalty, but every day, she walked to the palace gate with a
She helps Mia, a young boy. She offers him coffee and cake with a kind smile. He nods, says little, and leaves a note behind. She opens it. I'm not a janitor. I own this cafe. You showed true kindness when no one was watching. You're exactly who we need. Moments later, the manager walks in. You've been promoted. Starting tomorrow, you're head barista. Tears fill Mia's eyes. Sometimes subscribe to PippoUnfiltered for more emotional stories that stay with you.
Noah sat alone on his boat, shouting at the crashing waves. You are not real. You took everything from me. His diving left stealing all his savings. I prayed every day. I saved sea animals. And still, you took it all. He yelled at the sea. That night, Noah drank himself to sleep under the stars. He dreamed of his mother, swimming peacefully in the deep ocean. She smiled. Free yourself from this pain. I am at peace now. Before he could reply, the water around him turned into a glowing garden. A deep voice whispered, You may question my love, but I removed those who would have destroyed you. I saw what you couldn't. He awoke to a call from the Coast Guard. Noah, we've traced your money. It was your girlfriend behind the scam. Noah sat in silence. It wasn't a punishment. It was protection. Watch more emotional stories on Pippo Unfiltered.